I want to tell you about a secret buried in the mantling of Lorkhan. What if the emperor who became a god didn't receive a gift but made a theft? The mantling of Lorkhan was not a divine blessing, but a ritual to walk as a god or to drain one's essence. Tiber Septim's apotheosis, as Talos may have hinged on a stolen soul. Could the power fueling his ascension belong to Lorkhan himself? The truth lies in shadows, where emperors and deities bleed into legend. The mantling was no sacred walk, it was a theft, a ritual to siphon Lorkhan's essence, binding it to mortal flesh. The white gold tower's amulet pulses with Akatosh's blood, but what if its true core is a stolen god? If Talos walks as Lorkhan's ghost, then every edict of the empire is a lie, every war a holy crime. The Arbus itself trembles, not all divinity is earned, some is stolen. And the soul that fuels an emperor's ascent may yet demand its due. What price does a thief pay when the stolen is never truly dead? The asterisk tales of the First Council asterisk record Tiber Septim's mantling as a ritual of appropriation, not apotheosis. Lorkhan's heart, cast into Red Mountain's core, left his essence fractured but not extinguished. The emperor walked the god's path by binding to a dormant divinity a soul still smoldering in volcanic ash. This act, a documented asterisk walking way asterisk, forged Talos but left Lorkhan's shadow intact. The tribunal's later defiance, the empire's sacred lie, both trace to this theft of divine residue. What if the mantling did not consume Lorkhan but caged him? A god's soul, dimmed yet vast, now pulses within an emperor's chest. Does Talos walk as a conqueror, as a hollow vessel? The chronicles remain silent, but Red Mountain still breathes. And empires built on borrowed divinity tremble when the borrower's debt comes due. The Numantia Intercept does not speak in riddles. It names the mantling as a parade of ghosts, a slow march where the mortal shell dissolves into the god's shadow. Cold iron clamps the spine. The soul is not lifted, it is dragged through the god's abandoned footsteps, each stride a theft of memory, each breath a siphon of forgotten power. Red Mountain's forge did not birth Talos, it forged a thief. Tiber Septim's conquest of Skyrim was not a war. It was a ritual. The 9 tongues of the mantling chant echo in the emperor's campaigns. Walk the path. Where the name become the echo, he did not claim Lorkhan's mantle. He wore the god's absence, a hollow mask pressed against a hollow throne. The Numidium, that soul-smithed engine of conquest, could not be activated by mortal will alone. The mantella, a shard of Lorkhan's essence bound to the armor's core, had to be awakened, not through prayer, through sacrifice. The mantella's surface is not metal, it is a prison. When the Numidium roared to life, its energy did not flow from the dawn star's light. It bled from the god's stolen heat. Tiber's armies marched not under a living deity's banner, but a corpse's. Every siege, every citadel taken, was a step in the mantling's second act. The emperor did not walk Lorkhan's path. He rewalked it, each battle a reenactment of the god's own slaying. What does it mean to rule with a god's soul as a battery? The Numidium's power is not infinite. The mantella's glow dims with every war, and Tiber's crown carved from the same hollow oak as Lorkhan's tomb grew heavier. The empire expanded, the emperor aged, the soul within the armor whispered less. Until at last the hollow crown could hold no light at all. The Intercept's final line is no warning. It is an equation, a god's power divided by a mortal's lifespan equals a debt paid in fire. Red Mountain still smolders. And the fire has not yet burned out. The pocket guide's footnote on Lorkhan's heart lingers. The tribunal did not merely walk as a god thief siphoned his essence, a theft that birthed their divinity. If a mortal cabal could weaponize that heart, what of an emperor? The Arcturian heresy whispers of 3 mantled souls fused, not by divine will, but by ritual. 3 men, 1 mantling, each a vessel, each a sacrifice. The tribunal's crime was theft, could the empire's be murder? Tiber Septim's ascension was no gift. The mantling ritual's texts speak of souls bound, not blended. Lorkhan's heart, already a font of stolen power, could have been reforged, a key to bypass the divine, a lock to pick the god's gate. The heresy's claim, dismissed as heresy, suggests a synthesis, not a single man mantled, but a confluence. A god's soul split and stolen, its fragments woven into flesh. The red mountain still smolders. Its fire is not the debt paid in fire, it is the debt still owed. Lorkhan's heart beats in Tamriel's veins, a stolen rhythm. The tribunal's divinity is a shadow. Tiber Septim's Talos is the blade that cut the shadow loose. What if the heart they stole was never Lorkhan's to give? What if the mantling was not a taking, but a taking back? The fire has not burned out, it waits. And in its glow, the shape of three men becomes one, not a god, not yet. A spark in the dark, hungry for the soul it was forged to consume. The amulet of kings hangs in the white gold tower, bound to Akatosh's blood, a relic meant to crown emperors as divine. But what if the blood it binds is not Akatosh's? The covenant with Alesha promised her line the god's favor. A pact sealed in fire and time, yet Tiber Septim's rise defies that fire. His mantling did not echo Akatosh's roar. It whispered Lorkhan's name. The contradiction is sharp, a blade through the empire's myth. If the amulet's power stems from a stolen god, then every emperor who wore it was a thief, not a vessel. Not a king, a conduit for a soul never theirs to claim. The tower's gold is not sacred. It is gilded grave soil. What god's shadow fuels the mantling ritual? The answer lies in the amulet's silence. No hymns of Akatosh, no prayers to the dawn, only a void where Lorkhan's essence should not be. The empire's divinity was never a gift, it was a wound. A soul-pinched altar where mortals bled a god to wear his skin. The tower stands, the amulet waits. And beneath its gleam the truth festers. The first emperor did not walk as a god, he walked as a grave. His crown a rusted key, his blood a thief's mark. The dawn's covenant was never broken, it was irrelevant. The empire's power was never Akatosh's to give, it was Lorkhan's to steal. The Arcturian heresy whispers of three men fused into Talos. If truth, then Lorkhan's soul was not a single theft but a fracture. 3 thieves, 3 wounds. The dragon break at Rimmon, Akatosh's wrath made flesh, might instead be the soul's scream. A god's essence split, not by divine will, but by mortal hands. Each mantling a shard a crack in time. The dragon breaks are not mere storms, they are the echoes of a stolen soul, unraveling. How many septims walked as Talos? The heresy does not deny the theft, it questions the number of thieves. And in that silence the soul's grief lingers, unburied, unwhole, a god's death multiplied. The heresy does not deny the theft, it questions the number of thieves. The mantling did not merge Tiber Septim with Lorkhan's essence seat, weaponized the ritual's silence. To walk as a dead god is to bind its soul to a vessel, not to absorb it. Yet the Numidium's mantella pulses with a god's heartbeat. The tribunal's heart of Lorkhan bleeds a stolen light. Arcturians whisper Talos is a mosaic of mantled wills, each fragment a conquest, each echo a violation. The ritual's final act is not ascension, it is substitution. Septim did not wear Lorkhan's mantle. He wove it from the god's unraveling threads, stitching divinity to his bones. The mantella is not a relic. It is a wound, a soul cage humming with Lorkhan's unspent rage. The tribunal's heart is not a relic. It is a taproot, a conduit siphoning the dead god's power through Septim's borrowed form. Arcturians are not wrong. Talos is a collage, not of divine favor, of stolen fragments, of multiple mantlings, of multiple murders. The emperor did not become a god, he became a host. A hydra-headed sovereign, each head fed by another god's extinguished fire. And Lorkhan's grief, it festers, not in the silence. In the machinery, in every pulse of the mantella, every flicker of the heart, every war Talos wages. A god's death multiplied, a debt paid in souls, unpaid, unforgotten. The white gold tower's spires gleam, the septim bloodline burns, what stands when the foundation is a lie. Before 2E832 the divines walked, after their shadows festered, Talos wars became a slow unraveling. Akatosh's wrath at Rimmon dragons breaking free, time itself cracking, a god's anger or a system leaking. The Nerevarine's hammer struck the heart, not a tomb but a plug pulled, the empire's lifeblood sputtered. Legitimacy built on a soul not given but taken. What towers tremble, what heroes were pawns, the dragon breaks grow wilder. The moons drift, the mantling's illusion holds but for how long? If Talos is a thief, not a god, what cracks the tower next? What debt, unpaid, will drown the Orbis? The past bleeds, the present bends, and the future waits for the next soul to burn. What if the amulet's glow masks a deeper hunger? Akatosh's blood binds it to the tower a prison or a keystone. If Septim's mantling was theft, could the amulet be the lockpick? The tower stands silent, its gold cold as a god's grave. But what if its true purpose was not to crown emperors, but to cage the thief? The soul that fuels Talos may yet be unbound. Could the white gold tower hold the key to undoing a theft that remade a world? Challenge this. Break it. The comments are the forge. What if the amulet's glow masks a deeper hunger? Akatosh's blood binds it to the tower a prison or a keystone. If Septim's mantling was theft, could the amulet be the lockpick? The tower stands silent, its gold cold as a god's grave. But what if its true purpose was not to crown emperors, but to cage the thief? The soul that fuels Talos may yet be unbound. Could the white gold tower hold the key to